calling fouls, and they never did. Oh, I think we're live.
Yeah, just put us on. We're going to go. Here we go. All right. Good evening, everybody. It is the Safety and the Sportswriter back here on Monday, May 10th. Getting ready to talk about the world of sports. We have Chase Kuerschen, former Tulane standout safety, going to join us around 7:30. Talk a little football. What he thinks about what's going on. We know what he's doing these days. He was a well-decorated player while he was part of the Green Wave, and we're going to catch up with him. And I hear he's training some new players and stuff like that. A lot to go over. Two things come to mind right away, but first of all, we were just talking before we came on the air about Zion Williamson getting an injury, and it looks like he's going to be out for the foreseeable future. And then yesterday, I sat down to watch the Mets play, and all of a sudden in the fifth inning, there goes DeGrom. And he was getting an MRI today. I've been looking all day to see if they got anything back, but I haven't heard anything. I don't know if you heard anything.
Yeah, I did. The MRI was clean, so they're going to keep him out. They had to put him on, I think they had to put him on the 10-day IL, but supposedly there's no structural damage, and he should be able to come back. They're going to do some additional tests and have him looked out by a doctor. But based on the MRI, it looked like everything is clean. So best case scenario up to this point.
Good, yeah, because they can't afford. With the way the season's going, I mean, they had a nice week last week. Some craziness, which always goes well in Shea. I mean, we had the story of the rat or the raccoon that McNeil and your boy were Lindor were supposedly fighting over to cover the fact that they were fighting in the locker room. But I like when I hear that about a baseball team, because I remember growing up. I mean, I remember the old Oakland A's who hated each other. I remember the Yankees in the mid-'70s who hated each other. Even the Mets in the mid-'80s, when they were having all their success, they were always fighting. So it's a good sign on a baseball team if they're fighting, I think.
Oh, I agree. At least it shows that they care, and that there's a disagreement about a goal, and I like it. I think it shows life. There hasn't been a fight in the Mets locker room in like 12 years because no one gives an F. So I love it. I hope they fight every night, with the other teams amongst themselves. Show some passion in your craft.
Exactly. Don't just wait around for their. Yeah, I mean, I think baseball as a whole has taken all the life out of their sport by reducing it to strikeouts and home runs. It's okay. Maybe the pitcher gets pumped up on a strikeout. Maybe the guy that's home run gets pumped up. But steals, and I understand, the toning down of sliding into players at second base and breaking up double plays. I understand it because of injuries and stuff, but it did bring a physicality that's lacking in baseball. Baseball, the one sport I heard somebody say at one time, it's really an individual sport played on a team concept, because all the guys care about is the 4 times they get up the bat. And maybe if a ball comes to them and they're in their defense, they like that too. But other than that, it's a lot of standing around and, running over to backup plays. But not like in basketball, you're setting a pick, you're moving a screen, you're coming off a screen, looking for the pass, go to the hoop, or pop a J. In football, you're always looking to hit the guy across the line from you. And then in hockey, it's constant motion and contact. Baseball is a lot of standing around and wait. And if you don't have, things like that, bringing passion to it, you're going to sit there for a long time being bored.
Yeah, I mean, that's why no one watches baseball anymore. Everybody's all about the instant gratification, man. And that's why, the NFL is so popular, because, they've changed all the rules in football where there's a touchdown, every couple of minutes, or there's a lot more scoring than there used to be, and defense is at a disadvantage. And that's kind of how the league wants it. And that's how most fans want it. Not me. I could sit there and watch a 6-3 ball game and be perfectly happy. But obviously, I'm getting old. I've got bags under my eyes. I'm getting fat and old, roughed up. So no one cares what I want. But that's the key, is that you got to make it exciting. You got to change the game based on what people want to see, and that's where baseball's losing people, man. I mean, they brought them back, in 1998 when they had the home run race going on, and then they kind of found out that everybody was cheating, and then everybody got mad about that, and baseball kind of shunned those guys, and everybody that liked those guys got pissed off about that, like me. And the people that, were pissed off about the cheating went away too. So you lost pretty much everybody, and they've got to do something to bring viewers back, in my opinion, because it's not as exciting as it used to be in my outlook.
And I agree. I tell you, I don't mind a pitcher's duel, 2-1 pitcher's duel and stuff like that, but it can't be 15 different pitchers in the game. And the other thing about it is, everything, it seems, whatever the sport is, they think scoring creates the answers. Scoring will quiet the critics. It's not about scoring. It's not about defense alone. It's about competition. We want close games. I want to watch a game in the fourth quarter and say, well, who's going to win this game? And care about it. I don't want to see, a game where that's one of the things that's hard sometimes about college football on a Saturday is you look and you admire Alabama, but then by halftime the game's over with. So you sit there and go, okay, what other games are on? I'd much rather watch, like you like the MAC. I'm going to try and do some stuff with the Ivy League this year, and games where it's more even. Where you got to worry about the opponent. You got to worry if they're going to win, if they're going to be ready. And like I said, in the middle of the fourth quarter, if it's only under 10 points, there's a reason for me to watch the rest of the game. That's kind of maybe why I like Northwestern. Their games are never blowouts. Even they don't even lose. They don't lose a blowout usually, and they don't win by a blowout for sure.
No, they play old school football and play good defense and try and slow people down. So that's that's fun for me to watch, and I like the MAC because it's very competitive. You've got good football players, you've got really good up and coming coaches a lot of the time, and it's not like the WAC where it's 59-64 every game. There is some defense played. Now this past year there was some higher scoring, but we talked to Deshaun Bussell from Western Michigan, and he moved from wide receiver to cornerback because there is still an emphasis put on defense there. And, he believed in it so much, he switched sides of the ball and is going to be a corner this upcoming season. So I'm interested to see how he does. And I'm interested to talk to Chase Kuerschen today, who played some big-time football at Tulane and was in some big games, played against Oklahoma, played against Ohio State, played against Army, played against UCF, Auburn, Tulsa, Navy. He played against some really good teams and some really good opponents. So I'm looking forward to picking his brain tonight and hearing about what he thinks of the state of the game.
Yeah, I mean, there is some stuff, like always, we got to keep our eye on the new rules they're coming up with and that kind of stuff. I mean, have you heard any more?
Looks like we just lost Joe there, but anyway, didn't hear what he was talking about, but I hope he comes back and joins us because I would like to hear the rest of that sentence. But yeah, we're looking forward to talking to Chase tonight. He's going to join us about 7:30, talk about, playing and winning a state championship at Knoxville Catholic High School, and then, deciding to go to join Tulane, the Green Wave, and, playing there, starting several games as a freshman. So I'm looking forward to hearing from him what that was like and getting a little feedback from him. You were saying, Joe?
Yeah, the playoff system in NCAA football. Have we heard any more about the potential for expansion of it? for a while, just around the draft, they were starting to talk about it, and now it seemed to be going away. Have you heard anything down in your area? You're in the hotbed of SEC country. Any talk about it?
No, there's no plans to expand as of this moment. I mean, they like the way it is. They still making these money. They're still making money from these bowl games, and they're making plenty of money from the plenty of money from the 4-game 14 playoff. I mean, I thought that this year would have been the perfect time to roll out at least an 8-team format, especially with the shortened season and the way that it was tuning out at the end, where we had a couple of teams that were right there. Oklahoma, the way that they played and won their conference, and I think that some other teams deserved a shot to be in there, but the way that it sits right now, they're making money hand over fist, and I don't see it changing, at least in the near future.
But are they really making money? I mean, I'm okay. The Rose Bowl always going to attract people. The Sugar Bowl, of course, is going to attract people in New Orleans. There's plenty of things to do around the place. I mean, I don't know how much the Cotton Bowl brings in anymore. The Fiesta Bowl will probably bring in because people love going to Arizona. But I mean, the Orange Bowl, I mean, isn't even in the Orange Bowl anymore. Isn't it Joe Robbie now or whatever the stadium is down there?
Yeah, it's called the Hard Rock Stadium, but they don't even care about really people going to the games. They really don't care about that because they get these big sponsorships. It's the Tax Slayer Bowl or the Papa John's Bowl or the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl. They get big time money from these corporate sponsors, and then they also get they have the TV contracts. So these bowl games are already, I mean, if no one goes, the NCAA is still making money. These conferences are still making money if they've got 0 fans in the stands, which, we saw based upon this past year where they had limited capacity. The team still got paid $13 million to go to these BCS championship games. So they don't really care whether fans go or not at this point because they have the big TV contracts and they have these corporate sponsorships. But I'm with you. I think if the attendance keeps going down, these players keep continuing to opt out of these games, because that's one of the things that I think is going to end up affecting it, is if the big name guys keep not playing in the games and they keep opting out, like the Florida team, for instance, they lost in the SEC championship game and they ended up not going to the bowl game they really wanted to play in. And, Kyle Trask was out there by himself.
Right.
And it was kind of embarrassing because he was throwing to guys that hadn't been on the field all year, and he threw 3 interceptions in the first quarter and they got waxed by Oklahoma. So I think that could end up affecting it down the road.
And what was always the big excuse too? I mean, you'd have a team like who's a couple of years Central Florida or down there that was undefeated, and for years Boise State. You can't put Boise State on one of these bowl games because their fans don't travel. The Boise State, they're not going to go to Miami. They're not going to go to New Orleans. But we can put a second-rate Michigan team or a third-rate Nebraska team down there because we know a lot of their alumni live in the area, and their alumni will travel. That's why Notre Dame will attract people wherever they go with their Subway alumni. So, even if they're a 6-5 team, let's put them on a New Year's Day bowl and make that guy play the Sun Bowl of El Paso when nobody's watching. But, more and more, like you said, people are not traveling these bowl games. I mean, it's first of all, the expense of the tickets. The tickets are just ridiculous now. I mean, you talk about people, even true fans like you and me. I mean, you're talking, $1,500 for a ticket? What are you kidding me? I mean, I could watch all 4 bowl games at home and go to New Orleans on my own. I mean, the way these people are the price. It's sooner or later, and maybe they got a little look at it last year because of COVID of empty stadiums. We're gonna have more and more empty stadiums because they keep raising the prices on everything, and people don't want to spend that much money to go to that and just sit there and either you can never be sure of the weather sometimes if it's football. You're never sure the type of game you're getting. And it's like the entertainment dollar. I could sit at home in my man cave. I mean, I'm one of these guys who still love going to the game, but after a while, you sit there and you go, "Are you kidding me?" I mean, really.
Well, I'm interested to see. I'm interested to see what happens. There's a lot of people that used to go to the games that were forced to stay home, with the pandemic, and I'm interested to see whether or not all those people go back because they got used to watching the games on TV. They got used to going to their local bars or going to their buddy's house to watch the games, and I think it'll be interesting to see whether or not they get all their fans back because I think they may not.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, I mean, if you got a bunch of guys and one guy's got a man cave, you do your little tailgate in his backyard before the games start, and then you go inside. You have a bathroom you're not afraid to crap in. That's all. And then you can sit and watch all 4 games at the same time, or however many games are on at the same time. You can get at least 2 games going at the same time, and never have to leave. It's one of those traditions, unfortunately. And I'll never forget growing up. My father used to always say, "Why are you going to the game?" Like, I love going to the game, Dad. I got to go to the game. Got to be there. Got to be alive. And as I get older, it's kind of like, well, I pick and choose the games I really want to go to see what it is. I mean, I used to go down and see the Giants and know they were going to kick the guy in the other team's butt. It was just like, oh, that's cool.
No, I'm the same way. I used to be a big gamer. I liked going to games live. I liked being there. I liked, the fan experience, hearing the roar of the crowd, watching the band, all that stuff. But now I'm old and, I got to find a babysitter and I got to take care of the baby when I get home. And, it's just kind of like, I don't know if I want to do it. But, when I was younger, I didn't like watching the games on TV. I liked being there. And, that's why I used to go all the time. But at this point, I'm all about watching on TV. It's a little bit easier.
Well, and then we're going to flash over. We got about 15 minutes till we got Chase coming on. Your boy Zion, you're talking. I mean, we got to start with the injuries there. I mean, Jacob deGrom is about as big a star as Major League Baseball has. And if he was ever out for any amount of time, first of all, as a Met fan, there goes the season. Uh-oh.
Yeah, the Celtics star Jaylen Brown's out for the year too. So we got another big time, player from a team trying to make waves in this year's playoffs, and he's out. And you got with the Pelicans, Brandon Ingram, he's out for unknown amount of time, and Zion may be done for the year. And this is not good for the NBA. I mean, they need their superstars. That's what the fans, that's who they want to see. And as far as the Pelicans go, they're probably out of it at this point anyway. So I'm not sure it really makes that big a difference. But it is interesting that David Griffin, the general manager of the Pelicans, came out, basically said that he didn't like the way that the officiating was going. With his superstar Zion, that he was getting hacked every time he went down low because they can't stop him, man. He's right. So big, he's so strong, he's so fast that he gets down in the box and it's instant 2 points. So people are hacking him, people are fouling him, and the refs are pretty much letting him play. And he came out and said, that he knew this was going to happen, that he predicted it, and now his superstar is injured and it's one of his fingers on his left hand. And this guy's a left-hander, so could be a big deal. And then the Celtics, they're still in the mix for the playoffs, and with Jaylen Brown being done for the year, in my opinion, that knocks them out. I don't see them being able to win the Eastern Conference. They can't compete with the Sixers. They cannot compete with the Nets without Jaylen Brown. They were having trouble competing with Jaylen Brown. I don't see them doing it without him. I mean, you tell me. That's how I feel.
No, I don't. I definitely agree. I mean, Tatum can't do it on his own. I mean, he needs Brown there. It's just they've got a big, they still have a little bit of a hole or a hill to climb. So I mean, it's not like they're in or at, So yeah, I don't see them doing it without Brown. But back to this thing with the leagues, and not that I feel sorry for billionaires and millionaires and even GMs who make a ton of money. But I mean, when is the league going to be? How can I say it? when are they going to respect the First Amendment rights of the people that are put them in existence? What's wrong with an owner or a GM or a player speaking out about referees, about things that go on? Why don't they have the right to sit there and go, last night a lot of things were missed? What's wrong with that? I mean, these guys, are these referees that thin-skinned that they can't take a little criticism? And if nothing else, they never put themselves out there to be interviewed after a game. Well, even the press can't go up to them and say, that play in the third quarter, kind of a close play. What was your advantage on it? Why didn't you call the charge, or why did you call it a charge? Why can't someone get an answer for these guys? I think half the reason that people hate the referees or umpires or whatever is because they're like holy nuggets. You can't even ask them a question and say, what happened? I think there should be a rule. Quarterbacks, coaches, players have to talk to the press. Otherwise they get fined, right? Why can't the officials be put in the same? Just one of the officials come out and answer the question.
Well, at least the head official, they've got all these calls now, like charging, blocking. There's all these calls out there that are subjective, pass interference in football. They're subjective. It's based upon what the official sees. And, they had the ability once to overturn some of these, and they didn't like that, and they took that away. I agree with you. Why not make them explain why they called a play a certain way? And, this goes back to, not just talking about Zion, because, hell, he was getting beat up. I saw it. I watched almost every game he played in, and, he did get beat up. And then they were going after him because they couldn't stop him. And it goes back to, the Michael Vick days playing quarterback. Michael Vick was taking way more hits than other, quarterbacks were. And a lot of people were saying, well, that's because he runs the ball. Well, no, I'm not just talking about when he ran it. I mean, obviously he's going to get hit when he runs it, but you're able to protect yourself. But he was getting hit when he was back inside the pocket. He was getting hit at the end of plays after he threw it. And there's different rules for different players. And I think a lot of that could be taken care of if these guys had to answer up for what they're doing.
Look at I'll give you a great example. As a Giant fan, it's one of the greatest plays in our history, the David Tyree catch. I mean, 9 times out of 10, Eli would have been whistled in the grass. But he got out, and he made a great play out of it, throwing it up down the middle of the field, and Tyree making that fantastic catch. But that's where you need the accessibility to ask the referee what he saw, why he didn't blow the whistle, when 9 times out of 10, you would have expected him to blow the whistle. You're not putting him down. You give him a chance to answer the question and go, why was this situation different from that situation? What did you see? And he might sit there and say, well, from my angle, Eli still looked to be loose, or something like that. And then there'd be no controversy afterwards from all these people speculating about what it is. And, but instead, that's what we get.
No, and I don't understand why there can't be, why they can't be judged. I mean, I liked the fact that they were trying to right the wrong, that occurred in the New Orleans Saints game when there was obvious pass interference. It affected the outcome of the game. And so they made a decision the next year to change the rule and make it so that they could overrule, or so they could call it pass interference if it wasn't called on the field. So what happens? The refs hate that. And then they go and they won't, overturn those calls, and they just make it obvious that they're not going to do that, and they're not going to adhere to the rule change. And so then they get rid of it the next year. And I liked it. I thought that was a good rule, and that there should be checks and balances. If a call's missed, why not have the ability to make it right?
And we got Chase in the bullpen if you want to bring him on board.
Yeah, let's do it.
Hey, you got it.
How y'all doing?
There he is. Chase,
how you doing? Good.
Good. How's it going, Chase? You doing all right, buddy?
Good. How are y'all? Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you good, man. Thanks for joining.
Good. How are y'all?
Just want to let our listeners know we got Chase Kuerschen on with us right now from here in Knoxville. Played in the state championship basketball game as well as winning a state championship in football. So he was a 2-sport star, and then went on to to play some ball down in Tulane. So we're happy to have him here with us. And want to hear real quick from you, Chase. What are you doing now, man? What's going on since you got done playing?
I don't know if you heard you.
We got done
Chase, can you hear him?
playing around Christmas time. Moved back home. Yeah, I can hear y'all fine.
Okay, we got you.
Okay.
Working with my dad in real estate. I've been back. I'm just really happy to be back home, be around my family. Yeah, so it's been good.
Nice. So tell us what it was like playing last year. Obviously, there was kind of a strange situation with the pandemic going on and everything that happened leading up to 2020. But they did get some football played. What was it like playing during all that?
Yeah, it was kind of annoying, obvious reasons, all the testing, all the protocols and everything like that. But, we managed and made it through. Like you said, we didn't miss a single game, we didn't breaks or shutdowns or anything like that. So it was a blessing. While it was annoying, we still made it through and played all our games.
Hey, Chase, what was your major influence to decide to, not play the game anymore? Was there anything, did it have to do with COVID and all the stuff that's been going on? Or what was the major influence for you to make the decision and decide to, just get on with your life?
Yeah, not a bunch of people know this. I've had real bad back problems since high school. And I actually had a back surgery in college, and it's just been something that's really been nagging me. So I played my 4 years, feel like I had a great career, got my degree, and felt like it was.
Definitely. Cool, man. Well, I'm glad. I hope your back's feeling better now, man. I did not know that. Obviously, playing 4 years of major college football, that could bang up pretty much anybody. But I'm glad that you at least made it out somewhat unscathed, that you're still walking around. But I just want to talk to you a little bit about, your career there at Tulane.
Yeah,
you got in and played right away as a freshman. And made an impact right away. What was the transition like going from high school to college, and what was it like getting out there and playing right away?
It was a blessing. Like you said, right from the start, I got an opportunity to play at a really high level of football, and I'd say the biggest difference is kind of what you eat of the game was just a completely different level, as well as the guys you were going against, the size, the both offense and defense. I think that's why I got the opportunity to play early on, was that I learned the schemes in summer camp and was able to trust me to get out there and execute what I was supposed to do. But definitely the speed as far as the difference.
Definitely.
The thing about you at Tulane too is like everybody looks at the conference you guys are in, but you took on some big time schools like Ohio State and a few others. I mean, what was the comparison between? Was there a big difference between the Ohio States and the people in your conference, or was it basically the same football?
I mean, it was the same football when it got down to it. I think the biggest differences were their O-line going to run 300 plus all the way across, as well as their D-line. I mean, we played against Chase Young at Ohio State, and roll guys in and out. They were fresh the entire game, and that was something we didn't always have the ability to do.
Yeah, I was actually at that game, Chase. I don't know if you know that, but I'm originally from Ohio, and then I moved down here and went to high school at Knoxville Catholic, and then I went back up and played football in Ohio and lived there for 17 years before I came home. So I went up there and watched that game, and it was pretty crazy watching Dwayne Haskins sling it all over the place. But you guys had some pretty good players too, and you guys had 2 guys that were drafted this year. Cameron Sample and Patrick Johnson, 2 defensive ends. Talk to me a little bit about those two guys and what you think they may do in the NFL.
Have a really bright future ahead of them. They're both freaks of nature. I don't know if you know this. We played against Patrick Johnson. He went to Notre Dame High School in Chattanooga. We played against him for high school, and Cam's a outside of Atlanta guy. He's 270 and quick as a cat. And, it's unreal. So I wish them the best of luck, and I really think they have a good chance to not only make the roster but have a really good career.
Overall, when you look at the NCAA, a lot of us tend to just focus on the Alabamas and those teams. But a team like you say, you play quality football throughout the year. What was the best part of your overall experience being part of Tulane? When you take away from your 4 years, what brings you the most pride?
Probably winning at a place that hasn't won in a very long time. In my lifetime, they went undefeated in '98. Tulane did, and I think they've had one or two winning seasons since then. And we went to 3 straight bowl games, won 2 of them. So I think just winning at a place and at all, and doing it with a really good group of guys, a great group of coaches, is something I'll always cherish in my time at Tulane.
Yeah, and obviously, Tulane's a great school too. So, talk to us a little bit about, you weren't just there to play football. You were an all academic team player and, like you said, got your degree. Is that one of the reasons that you chose to go to Tulane, was also the academic side of it?
Absolutely. When I started getting recruited for football, I realized that I could get a high level of football and a great degree for free. Those two things at the same time was something that always stood out to me. I was a double major in management and finance. Graduated above a 3.5 GPA. So, and that's a blessing degree. That's so valuable to me. And I think it gives me a lot of freedom to do with whatever I please going forward.
As Nate said, you played both basketball and football. We had Steve Bellisari a couple months ago from Ohio State, and he was a quarterback at Ohio State for a couple of years, and then he said on our show, he was really wanted to play basketball more than football. Was football your main love or basketball when you were in high school?
Football was always my main love. Basketball. I love the sport of basketball. I love going out and just playing pickup with a group of guys. That's actually what I've been doing to really try to stay in shape as far as cardio goes. Is times a week with a couple group of guys, and I love the game of basketball. Really do. March Madness is probably my favorite just sporting event of all time.
Yeah, well, you got things going as well at Knoxville Catholic, man. You guys made it all the way to the state championship, and old Hutch has kept that going even since you guys left. He got back and won a state championship with B.J. Edwards. What do you think about what they're doing there at Catholic, playing basketball since you guys got it going?
Oh yeah, so glad Hutch finally got him one. Yeah, that's something I know he's always dreamt of since he's had that job, and they really got some really, really, really good players to continue the trajectory that we started, and they've continued.
When we're going back to a lot of the players that we talked to come on here, in case we got some young guys out there thinking about it and trying to live their dreams out like you did. A lot of people, especially in the area, I'm in the Northeast, it's all about specialization. It's all about, if you're a football player, they want you working being a football player 365. Basketball is the same way with AAU. Baseball is the same way with fall baseball. As someone who was a 2-sport star in high school and went on to live out his dreams in football, I mean, you definitely think that there's a benefit to playing different sports, right?
Absolutely. I wish I would have done more, to be honest with you. And I think those different movements and just, gain completely different muscles, completely different movements. And I think that they benefit each other. I mean, going out there and playing basketball, like moving your feet, changing directions real quick, I think that correlates to the football field, almost exactly. And people that think I just can't get it all.
Yeah, no doubt. We were also talking last week about one of your former teammates, Amari Rodgers from Clemson, who ended up getting picked by the Packers, I think he was 85th overall. Talk to me a little bit about him. I know you know him pretty well from playing together, and you still stay in touch with him. And did you actually get to see him get drafted? Were you watching it, and what were your thoughts of him getting picked by the Pack?
Didn't get to watch it live, but I could not be happier for Amari. And I think that's a great spot for him, whether Aaron Rodgers stays or not. I think they're really missing just a solid slot receiver, which is exactly what he is. And we do stay in touch. We stayed in touch all through college, got to his draft party, I guess the day after he got drafted. So, I wish nothing but the best for Amari, and really, really think he's got a shot. The best ever do it in Aaron Rodgers, but we'll see.
We were talking early in the broadcast about NCAA football and the need to expand the playoffs. We'd love to see the playoffs expanded. I guess the NCAA still wants the bowl games to be relevant at some point. As a player and somebody, it seems like the same 4 teams are playing every year for the championship. Would you think a playoff was something they should really take a good look at?
Yeah, absolutely. I think they should go to 18. Think about expanding it. The people that say they can't do it are just wrong. I mean, the FCS does it every year and have been doing it every year for quite some time. It gives, like you said, gives other teams a shot. If Tulane went undefeated, we probably wouldn't make the playoff, and I just don't think that's right. I think Cincinnati last year could have run for their money. They should have beat Georgia. And there's a lot of good football players out there, a lot of good teams, good coaches, and I think everybody deserves at making it. And I think an 18 playoffs is at least a good starting point.
No, I agree, and I thought that last year was a great time to maybe give it a go. Just the way that they had to kind of move around, and some games got canceled, some games got moved, and there were some teams like my squad, Ohio State, that didn't even get to play a full season. I thought that having an expanded playoff would have been a good idea, but the NCAA is so slow to change. That it's something that's probably not going to happen right away. But at least now, they did give the new rules with the transfer portal, and they're allowing kids to go to different schools if they have to, or if they want to transfer and they don't have to sit out for a year. I was kind of glad that they did that. What were your thoughts on the rule change, and what do you think it'll do as far as changing college football?
I think it'll change it tremendously. There'll basically be a free agency period for college football, and I think it's good. I think guys can go to and maybe don't fit the scheme, don't get along with the coaches, don't get along with the other guys. There's a lot of things that can happen, and you don't see it from the inside. I mean, you can look at the outside and be like, oh, he just wasn't going to play. He quit and wanted to go somewhere else, but it's not always like that. So I agree with you. But only time will tell kind of how it affects the game.
Yeah, because I mean, it's not fair. These coaches come out and they go see somebody like you in high school, and they make a promise. They say, I'm going to be there for 4 years, and then he recruits, a whole 20 other guys coming in here, and then all of a sudden, Tulane might have a good year, and all of a sudden, who knows, USC comes knocking, and then they leave you. But they can go anywhere they want with no problems, but you can't. That was such a hypocritical rule to say that to the players. You got to sit out and lose a year of eligibility. it's great they corrected that right away. Looking back, what's going to be the thing you miss most about football?
Oh, that's a tough question. Probably just the game itself. I just love playing. You know, I'm gonna just go full on, full speed, and hit people. Yeah, there's you can count them on one hand. And the moments that you can do, I love the game. It's a great game, greatest game ever made. So I just miss playing. To be honest with you, you can't replicate it.
No doubt. The game's going to miss seeing you play, Chase. And, buddy, we appreciate your time. We're going to hopefully have you on if you are going to be around in town like you are. Hopefully we can get you back on, and we can talk to you a little bit more once we get ready for a little college football. We can bring you on and get your thoughts on the upcoming season, if that'd be cool with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate y'all having me on. I really appreciate all the support just through the years. It really means a lot.
All right, buddy.
Well, you know, we couldn't leave a safety out there hanging. We had to get the safety on.
No, man, we got you. I got you in the office too, man. Check it. We got to get you to sign this. I got Amari here. I need Cade, and I got Chase too. So we got to get you.
Oh, heck yeah!
That's show, get you to sign the program here.
Yeah, I'll get you.
All right, man.
I'll definitely get you.
All right, buddy. We'll have you back on for sure. I wish you the best, and
I will have a good one. Thank you so much.
We love watching you play, brother.
Thank you. All right, so that was Chase Kuerschen, nice guy. It was, you know, it's too bad his back didn't hold up, but you know what? You know, a lot of cases, you know, it's part of the plan. You know, I'm sure he has a lot of things. He said he's going into real estate, and who knows, we might see him as a coach someday.
Yeah, no, he was doing some training with some kids and doing some workouts, helping out and giving back. And you know, the thing about Chase, which I remember from when he played at Catholic, and one of the reasons he was so good is that he was very cerebral in the way that he played football. You know, was he the absolute? He was a great athlete. First off, obviously, you don't make it to the state championship in basketball and win a state championship in football if you're not good and you're not a great athlete. But he also had this just great mind where he could see things coming. He was great at picking off passes and reading an offense and reading wide receivers' movements and quarterbacks' eyes. And then he goes to Tulane, one of the best schools in the country, and becomes an academic All-American and all-conference academic team, and then graduates in 4 years. And that just shows you that some of these kids, although they love the sport of football and that they go to school to play football, they're also there to get an education and to benefit their lives as a whole. Yeah,
definitely. And it's it is. And a lot, we always forget about that. We only think about them on the field, and there's so much more to these guys, and it's great. That's why we're great. We can get these guys on here so people can learn more about them. So back to the NBA, we're coming down to the end of it, end of the regular season. What's been your impression? What do you think about the playoffs? The way we are stacking up right now.
Well, I got to say, I'm very impressed with the Sixers. Doc Rivers was run out of town in Los Angeles. The Clippers couldn't get rid of Doc fast enough, and blamed everything that happened last year on Doc in the playoffs. And what happens? He goes to the Sixers, picks up a team that was chumps last year, and they've pretty much been in first place the entire season, and they still are. Despite a pretty, up-and-coming run of the Brooklyn Nets, the super team. They're signing everybody they can. I know Marcus Aldridge retired, but they signed Aldridge. They signed Blake Griffin. Hell, they probably signed Kobe if he was still around and try and get him on their team. But it hasn't worked. They haven't been able to overtake the Sixers. They haven't been able to overtake Doc Rivers. And I'm very impressed with the way that Joel Embiid has played. This is a guy that was drafted very high. There's a lot of expectations, and he basically missed the first, almost 3 years because of his foot problems. And a lot of people didn't think he would ever play. And he is now one of the best players in the league, and he's also become a leader. And really impressed with the Sixers. I hope they keep it going. And, as far as what the West is, nobody picked the Utah Jazz to be leading the pack. No, I didn't hear anybody. I mean, people thought that the Jazz were a good team. They thought that the Jazz had a shot based on the way they played last year in the bubble. But, I didn't hear anybody picking the Jazz to win the West. And right now, they've pretty much been out there in front. The last 2 or 3 months, they are still in front. I think they're up on Phoenix by 2 games right now. And, they deserve a lot of credit for the way they've played. I mean, they don't really have LeBron James, James Harden, a superstar out there that they rely on. They've got a bunch of guys that work hard and play hard and are getting it done. And I don't think they're getting the credit that they deserve. Donovan Mitchell's averaging 26 points. Rudy Gobert's averaging 13 and a half rebounds. And Mike Conley's playing really well at point guard. So I'm actually very excited to see what happens, both in the East and the West. And I'm interested to see what happens with the Lake Show because LeBron's supposed to be coming back either tonight or tomorrow against the Knicks, if not later in the week. And, they've dug themselves a hole. They're in second place. They're going to have to play in the playing game. And I'm not sure whether or not the Lakers can dig themselves out of it. I mean, do you think they still got a shot?
Well, I want to do a little bit of a game here. I think they I don't know. Let's take the. We know what you think of the Sixers. We know what you think of Brooklyn. Milwaukee, who was everybody's favorite last year and failed in the playoffs, still sitting there in the number 3 slot in the East. Still, you got Giannis. Maybe he's not as good a year as he had last year. They're kind of a team that's not going to. It could be that they don't get to sneak up on people anymore. People will actually prepare for them, and they always get people's best to play against them. How dangerous a team do you see them being in the playoffs?
I got to be honest. I actually like the Bucks more this year than I did last year. I really like the fact that they added Drew Holiday. It's a guy that is that third. This is what they didn't have last year. They didn't have that third option. They had Chris Middleton, who averaged 20 points a game last year. He's averaging 20.4 points a game this year. He's a very good player. They got Giannis, who's averaging almost 30 points a game and 12 rebounds. I mean, he could be the MVP this year, and he's not really getting any pub for it. But, despite those 2 players, they also now have Drew Holiday, who's a guy who's averaging 18 points a game and also, can run the offense and be the point guard out there. They've also got Brook Lopez and Bobby Portis, Dante DiVincenzo, Brian Forbes, all those guys average in double figures, 10 points or more. So they've got options if Giannis is getting hacked, if Middleton's having a bad night, they've got other guys they can go to. And I think that makes them dangerous. Also, the Bucks can play defense. That's something that a lot of teams don't even care about and certainly can't do. But the Bucks can play defense, and I think that makes them dangerous.
Now we got the Knicks. I mean, the Knicks have overachieved. Tibbs is probably, even though Rivers did a great job with the 76ers, Tibbs has to be the coach of the year. To go in there, and they didn't give him much to work with, and he made the most out of it. The thing that I look at the Knicks is they got to hang in the number 4 slot, because if you see them on the road compared to at home, they need at least a home series to get their feet wet. If they go on and they're going to have to travel to start out, it's going to be trouble for them. I mean they're 16-19 on the road and 22-11 at home. That's a huge differential. So I think they've got to hang on to that 4th spot. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's important for them. But, they're getting hot at the right time. They won, 10 games in a row. I think they've won 12 out of their last 14. Julius Randle's playing the best basketball he's ever played. He's leading the team in points, rebounds, and assists. And then R.J. Barrett has started to come around. This is a guy that, played all right as a rookie, but definitely didn't give the Knicks what they wanted in their first year. But I agree with you. I think Thibodeau deserves to be the coach of the year. Nobody was expecting the Knicks to do anything. They're in fourth place right now. If they can hold on to that 4th spot, they've got a chance to at least win a series and maybe make some noise in the playoffs. I mean, I think they're a year away probably. I think they need to add at least one more guy. And they've been missing Mitchell Robinson as well. So I think they need to add another player or two to get their core together. But I mean, you got to be impressed with what they've done and have to be impressed with the way that their coach has handled this team. And, I don't think he could have done a better job than what he has done. And this is what we talked about before the season was can these guys buy in? Will these players buy in? And, they have.
I think it's important, first of all, to not have a superstar there to dictate stuff. I mean, let's face facts. Julius Randle was closer to the door than he was to the rafters, if you know what I mean there in the Garden. I mean, if he had gotten traded in the offseason, no one would have thought twice about it. Now, he's pretty much got a home in New York City if he wants to stay there. He's become part of the fabric of this rebuilding process. In fact, a mainstay of the fabric. RJ Barrett, the one thing I say about RJ Barrett, what I come to grips with him about is, and I say this as a compliment, I think he had kind of a Zion hangover his first year. He was a second or third option down there at Duke behind Zion, who took all the pressure, took all the big shots, was the guy everybody focused on. I think if he had stayed a year at Duke and been a star at Duke and then came into the league, I think his transition would have been easier. I think sometimes, when they, that's the trouble with a lot of these places like Kentucky and Duke that stockpile the one and dones. Is the fact of the matter is there's only one basketball. So only the true superstar gets to know and develop his game at a high level. Everybody else takes the scrap left over from him. So I think that kind of is why if you're a coach, if I was Coach K or Calipari, believe me, they know more about basketball or forgot more about basketball than I ever know. If I was looking at a guy who was my third option, he was going to go one and done, I might sit there and discourage him and say, you probably could benefit to come back here, be my number one option next year, and develop your skills more for the pros before you go up there and start getting beat up. Who's the guy in Atlanta that was from Duke, the same class?
Cam Reddish.
Yeah. I mean, Cam Reddish is an afterthought. He could have used another year at Duke.
Oh, I agree. And this is the problem with the one and done rule is that these guys, show a little bit of promise and all of a sudden they're lottery picks and they haven't really developed their game at all. In 1 year at college, it's impossible to do it playing 30 games with a team. And, I think one of the issues with RJ Barrett, the biggest issue with me was that the Knicks were a mess last year.
Oh yeah.
He came up, he was expected to lead this team. He was expected to be this superstar right away. And they had no coaching. They had no chemistry, nothing. And I really think he's benefited by having Coach Tibb.
Especially coming from a Duke program that is well coached, that is uniform, that is well, disciplined. You all of a sudden you're 19 years old in New York City, and there's a coach who's just scrambling to hang on to his job and really doesn't give a crap about you. He just wants you to somehow get 30 points every night, and you don't know how to do it yet. So yeah, I definitely agree with you on that point for sure. Atlanta is trying to come on and got Miami, who suddenly has refound their skill from last year after stumbling out of the block. Do you think Miami could jump over Atlanta?
I do. If you look at the last 10 games, the Heat are 7-3. Atlanta's 5-5. Although I think Atlanta has overachieved this year, and I've been very impressed with them. If you're talking about a 7-game series, I'm going with the Heat. Not only do they still have Jimmy Butler, not only do they still have Bam Adebayo, but Tyler Hero is starting to play a little bit better. He's averaging 15 points a game. And then they've also got Goran Dragic, and they've got Victor Oladipo. I mean, that guy, he's
a playoff changer.
Yeah, exactly. He's a guy that can make a difference in a series because not only can he score and get you points and help on the offensive side, but he can also play defense and guard a 2 or a 3 and help shut them down. So I'm looking at the Heat getting hot at the right time, no pun, and I think they're a better squad overall than the Hawks right now, in my opinion.
Yeah, we're gonna get to the West on Thursday night. Thursday night we got Bob Picozzi, Connecticut sports legend, going to come up. We're going to do a lot more baseball on Thursday. Talk Mets, Yankees, and Major League Baseball. So we got 2 real good guests this week. We're happy with that. Back to the East. Right now the big story. Everybody's talking about Westbrook finally finding his game, so to speak. People. Westbrook is one of these guys. He's very polarizing. You either like him or you don't like him. He's effective to a point, but we've seen this before. I mean, we've seen this movie before. It's like watching Die Hard. You know what I mean? It's like watching every movie. You know how it's going to end with Westbrook. He's not going to take the Wizards to the conference championship, but he knows how to get a triple-double anytime he wants. What is your impression? I mean, it looks. I don't know if the Charlotte has enough. I know Charlotte could probably jump over the Celtics because the Celtics now are a mess. Could the Wizards jump over both of those teams?
I don't know about jumping both of them, but the way that the Wizards are playing right now, I would take them over the Hornets, especially with LaMelo out. And just with the way that Russ is playing, and I get it. Some people don't like Russ. Some people blame Russ for everything, going back to the OKC days. But if you remember correctly, Russ was not the reason that they lost and blew that 3-1 lead. That was Kevin Durant with a choke job. And, in Houston, Russ was getting his. James Harden just seems to be the X factor, the guy that was there before him and was there after him and unable to get it done. But Russell Westbrook's leading the Wizards in rebounds. He's leading the Wizards in assists, steals, and he's scoring points now. So, I really think he deserves credit for the way that he's playing. And he's brought the Wizards out from the cellar of the Eastern Conference into the playoff hunt. Do I think that the Wizards are going to win the East? No. But I don't think I'd want to play them in the first round if they make it to the 8th seed.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about the amazing transition, I mean, right now, I don't know if I'd put Miami or I would put the Wizards as the most impressive team since the trade deadline, because the Wizards, everybody's going to go, well, Westbrook's got to get sold somewhere. Bradley Beal's got to end up somewhere else. They stood pat. They held their hand. And suddenly they're in the playoff run. It's just an amazing transition. And the worst thing about it is, like everything in sports, we tend to focus on a few teams or a few players rather than seeing the real story. The real story is about how this Wizard team, with 2 superstars for sure, but a bunch of guys you couldn't name, in a police lineup or whatever, lack of a better term. That was probably a bad term, but I mean, yeah, that's right. I try to go with name the other players on the Wizards and win valuable prizes. I mean,
no, you're right. You're right, and but it's true. They've all kind of gravitated around Russ and around Bradley Beal. He's done a great job too, and Thomas Bryant's a guy that a lot of people don't even know who he is, but he's their starting center. He's averaging 14 points. And like almost 7 rebounds a game. And then, Hachimura from Gonzaga, he's averaging 14 points and 6 rebounds a game. So, these guys are making the people around them better. And that's what they deserve credit for.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not on their Christmas card list, you probably don't know who they are.
It's true. It's true. If I didn't watch the NBA every night, I wouldn't know who they were.
Yeah, so it's crazy. So I'm kind of interested in seeing what the Wizards can do. Of course, I'm interested in the Knicks. And it sounds so bad because I used to root for the New York Nets when they had Julius Erving. And they had a guy, there was a guard named Bill Melchioti and John Roche I used to love watching. Those were the 70s. And so I always rooted for the Nets. And I hated how they got screwed when they joined the NBA, and their superstars got dispersed all over the league. Julius Erving is suddenly a Sixer, and Larry Kennan is down in San Antonio. And I still say, I know you weren't around for it, if they brought that net team in as is to the NBA, they would have been competing right away because they would have had Dr. J. And I don't understand why at the time the powers that be didn't think, hey, the Knicks kind of fading a little bit to have the Nets come in here and keep us relevant in the biggest city in the world might be a good thing for basketball, but they didn't go with it. So I kind of root for the Nets at times, but this team is so hard to root for. I mean, I kind of want to see. I would love to see in a way the Wizards go up against the Nets, and somehow Beal and Westbrook take out Harden and Irving and Durant.
Nothing would make me happier than that, because you know what? Say what you want about Russ, he is a good guy, and he plays his butt off every night. Russ is always in the lineup. Russ will pass the ball if somebody's open. Russ will rebound the ball because he knows that leads to his team getting extra shots and getting extra possessions. This is a guy that doesn't mind doing the dirty stuff that Kevin Durant doesn't want to do. And I would love to see the Wizards take out the Nets. Nothing would make me happier. I hate the Nets. I really liked that team and respected that team last year in the bubble. Lots of people didn't think they should even be there, and they went out and played really well. And then what they do, they blew them up. So I got no love for the Nets anymore, and I hope that they fall on their face.
I mean, I hope that James Dolan it's another reason I really want the Nets to fail is to keep James Dolan from following their map to the best. I mean, 2 years ago with Atkinson as their coach, they were a hardworking NBA team and were making the playoffs with a bunch of unknown players, but they were a team you could get behind. And instead, they went out and they got Kyrie and they got Kevin Durant. They started going the superstar route instead of saying, we got a good coach. We got a team that believes in his coaching. Let's see where these guys go. They're basically young. And see if we develop our stars. And then if we need somebody to get us over the hump into the conference championship, yeah, then we'll go out and get that guy.
Yeah.
But let's develop our stars first. I mean, it worked for Golden State, no matter what you want to say about Steph and the Splash Brothers and Draymond. They developed that core first, and then they added to it. And that's why they didn't collapse when Durant went away.
Yeah, no, they won a championship before he ever got there. So, that's not really – they didn't really need Durant. Durant needed them to get his ring. And, he hasn't proven that he can do it without a big group of dudes around him. So we'll see what happens. But, I expect – I expect the East to be, it's going to be the wild, wild West out there because, who knows what will happen. I think the Bucks have as good a chance anybody. With Jaylen Brown being out, I don't see the Celtics as big a factor, but I wouldn't want to play the Wizards right now, and I certainly wouldn't want to play the Heat with the way that they can, play in tournament basketball and in a series. That's the thing is that it's not about just beating somebody once. You got to beat somebody 4 times in a 7-game series, and that's easier said than done.
That sure is. All right, people, we're going to call it a night. We'll be back on Thursday night. Like I said, we're going to have Bob Bacozzi, the Dean of Connecticut Sports Broadcasting, coming in to give us his take on Major League Baseball. I mean, we're going to talk about everything in Mets and Yankees, but also what we see is going on in baseball. The thing we don't like, the thing we do like. I mean, if you like strikeouts and you like home runs, you love this game of baseball, but there's no passion to it. So we'll have to bring that up. We'll do a long conversation with him on that. Plus, we are now going to finish off breaking down the west side of this NBA playoff picture. Nate will bring his scope to you guys and let you see what he thinks about the west side when we take the microphone on Thursday night. Plus, any of the breaking sports we will have on Thursday night. Thank you, Chase Kuerschen, for coming in and being a great guest. Yes, Tebow, back there at tight end.
Can you believe it, man? I mean, the guy hasn't played in an NFL game since 2012, and he's weaseled his way back onto a roster. So, only Urban Meyer.
But I'm going to defend, and I'm not an Urban Meyer fan. I'm going to defend him a little bit here, okay? This is probably something where it's not expensive. He's not bringing him in to play quarterback.
No.
He's bringing him in to play tight end. I can see him being you could use him running sweeps. You can see him an option, doing a lot of things. And the other major thing, and this is something Parcells used to always do with all the amount of times he moved around, he found players that had played for him before to come in and be his sheriffs in the dressing room, to be his voice in the locker room. We all know that Tebow's not shy. He's a great leader. And the fact of the matter is that, he'll be Urban Meyer's sheriff there in the locker room. He'll be able to talk to, the young quarterback. He'll be able to work with him and tell him, to believe in Urban Meyer's system. Unfortunately, Urban Meyer didn't have what Parcells had, was able to bring established pros with him. So he has to go out and find some old Ohio State or Florida players that he can bring in there to be his guys. And I kind of support this.
I do too. You know what? I didn't really understand why he was run out of football in the first place. If you didn't think he was a quarterback and you didn't want to develop him as a quarterback, that's fine. I get it. He wasn't the greatest passer in the world. So, maybe he didn't have a career sitting back there in the pocket, but the guy was a football player. That's one thing you can say about him from the beginning of time when he started out in Florida as a freshman, being a kind of a gadget guy who was brought in on third down, fourth down to run the option or to do the jump pass or whatever it was. He came in and did that, and he helped the Gators win a national championship. So, why not bring him back and give him a shot and see if he can help you win the team over and win a couple games. I'm all for it.
It's kind of like Belichick always says, don't tell me what he can't do. Tell me what he can do.
Exactly.
And I'll find something for him.
And just like Belichick used to do, he brought guys in that could do multiple things. Yeah. Guys that could run on special teams, guys that can play defense, guys like Troy Brown that never left the field. He played offense and defense and special teams and, won several Super Bowls with Troy Brown out there.
Edelman was a quarterback at Kent State.
Yep.
He brought him in to be a kick returner.
Yep.
Like I said, I just think it's a good move. I think it's one of those moves where we're going to sit there, and as long as he stays healthy, he's going to do some damage. He may only catch 30 passes, but I'll bet you there are 30 big passes. Yeah. And I wouldn't be surprised to see, like I said, another 300 yards on the ground, and maybe, instead of having your young quarterback out there running pass option, you pull your tight end in there to run the Wildcat. I mean, There's so many things that go out of your head. How about just that having to protect Lawrence so he doesn't have to do the run pass options?
Well, and how about having Tim Tebow to help Lawrence get acclimated with the NFL? You don't think Tim Tebow knows the difference between NFL defenses and college defenses? This is a guy that did it out in Denver and took his team to the playoffs. As much as people want to forget that, he took his team to the playoffs and beat the Steelers, won the first Broncos playoff game in a long time. So I think he could also help Trevor Lawrence get acclimated to his new environment in the new league that he's on.
Bet on the jump pass from the 3-yard line sometime in the first 2 weeks.
I want to see it. I want to see T Magic come back. I want to see him just bring Tim Tebow out there and run the single wing when Lawrence goes down with his injury.
Hey, no. I like Trevor Lawrence. You can't which way you got him, but
no. I'm just saying if he were to get hurt, then you just put Tebow out there and you have him run the ball for 4 yards a pop like he did for 8 games in a row and couldn't be stopped.
Hey, if this works, you get these guys that are coming out of college like a Sam Ehlinger, who may never get a chance to be a quarterback. Maybe he makes the same move. He's a great runner. All of a sudden, he decides that he can be either a halfback or a tight end, and all of a sudden, he finds a new career. These quarterbacks that get pigeonholed, there are some quarterbacks out there that are good athletes. And, I'd rather have a long career as a slash than a short career holding holding a clipboard on the sideline.
Yeah, and one guy that we talked about quite a bit throughout the draft process and the Senior Bowl and everything was Jamie Newman, who didn't get drafted. He was the guy that transferred from Wake Forest to Georgia and then for some reason opted out 3 days before the season started. That hurt him. I think that's what led to him not being drafted.
Oh, definitely.
It was a bad move. I don't know who was telling him to do that, but he should have stayed at Georgia. He should have played at Georgia. That would have helped him a lot. But he still got signed as an undrafted free agent by the Eagles, which what a better place to go than backing up Jalen Hurts. I mean, those two guys can run the same offense.
Yeah, true. All right, well, that's it for us tonight. The Safety and the Sportswriter with Knoxville and Big Joe. We will be back at 7 o'clock Thursday night. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you, Chase, again. Looking forward to Bob Bacozzi, and I will talk to you tomorrow, my friend.
All right, buddy. Have a good night. And thank you again, Chase. We enjoyed talking to you. And we'll have Chase back on since he's back here in town. We'll get him back on and have him help us break down some college football maybe.
That's for sure.
All
Everybody have a great night. Have a safe night.
All right, adios.